Okay, so to zoom in and out, you just scroll your middle button. Okay, that just zooms you in and out. And then to pan, you just click the middle button and move the stage around like this. Okay, so that's a really, really helpful one. So you just literally click the middle button, click and drag. Okay, to rotate with your mouse, you're gonna hold down Shift and click the middle button, and that'll allow you to rotate. Okay, the rotation will come from, so when I hold down Shift and click, when I'm rotating, see that little, I don't know if you can see it on my screen, but do you see, you should see like a little green ball somewhere. Mine's at the center of my plane. Does everybody see that? Okay, so what you can do is, let's say for some reason that's like, I don't know, that's like up here or doing something weird, or you have an object that you want to like rotate a specific way, you can right click and you can say set orbit center, okay? And so when you say set orbit center, when you click on that, it gives you that little green ball, and you can place that wherever you want. So you can place it anywhere on the plane, or you can place it on any facet of any object. So for instance, you could put it like at a corner of an object, and that way when you rotate, it'll rotate from that center point rather than just like the random center point. Does that make sense to everybody? So we'll try that again later as well. Okay, some other things about just this interface. Here's where like everything that you have on your plane is gonna be, okay? So let's just first go to document settings, okay? If we open up document settings, here's our units. You can change your units here. So if you want to change it, you can just click on this little change button, the little edit button, and it'll give you this little pop-up where you can change, okay? If you notice, everything in this program is sort of like select an option and it gives you a modal with more options. Okay, so that's really the format of all 3D modeling programs, all right? So it's not like, I mean, it's not unlike Illustrator or anything like that, but what it does is it kind of like hides a ton of your options. Otherwise, you'd have like thousands and thousands of things all over your screen, okay? So you can just click whatever you want to measure in. Millimeters is best really for 3D printing, I find. But you can switch it back and forth, you know? So for instance, if you want to make sure that, you know, what you're modeling is staying under 5 inches, here's a little 5-inch square right here. Okay, so you can switch back and forth between those really, really easily. Okay, underneath named views, you can make your own named views if you wanted to. We're not going to do that. There's really no reason why we would do that. But the named views that this comes with is the top, the front, right, and home. Okay, so if I click on those, it'll sort of navigate you around to the top, the front, right, and then your home position is also up here as well. Okay, so these are just, the named views are just ways to like get back to like the regular ways of viewing stuff, right? Like sometimes, I know a couple people said like somehow you got like turned upside down and you didn't know like where you were. If you ever get confused, you can get back home in a couple different ways. You can go underneath the named views, click home, or you can go top, front, etc., and then it'll, whatever you're doing over here, your little rotation widget up at the top right corner will reflect that. So if you get lost, you can hit the home button here. It'll take you back home. All right, and then you can also use this to navigate. You can just turn this little widget, so click and drag on the widget, but you can also click on specific points of the widget. So you can click on really specific points here to kind of move around. All right. Any questions about any of that stuff? About any of those basic controls at all? Is anybody having any issues navigating around at all? Okay. So, Alex, to answer your question about, you know, what's like, how do you get a thing, right? How do you make a form? There's a bunch of different ways, okay? And so let's just go over like the the sort of like building blocks of this program, all right? So you have sketches. And with your sketches, you can extrude a sketch into a shape. Okay, so that's one. Just sketches, which are, it's just vector shapes, just like Illustrator, which you can extrude into full shapes. Okay, and then we have our, so we have solids. Okay, so we have what these are called solids. So shapes are usually called solids in 3D modeling. All right. So these are like ready-made solids, okay? We have a box, we have a cylinder, a sphere, torus, coil, pipe, okay? So you can totally start with one of these as well, all right? So for instance, if you want a sphere, it might be kind of hard to make like a perfect sphere with, like out of a box. You could actually totally do it, but these are really, really simple ways of getting started, okay? And then there's a whole other mode of modeling that we can look at really quick. I don't know if we'll get to it today, but if you click underneath model here and you go to sculpt, everybody see that? Okay, this is pretty much, it's sort of like, sometimes I think of it as like a little alternate universe or like the upside down or something, where it's like everything that you can do in the model, you can do in here, but you can kind of like mush things around. Does anybody need help getting there? Okay, so you don't have the sculpt option? Okay, it should be in, let me go back to model. It should look, you should have an option. Do you have something that looks like this on your model panel? No, okay. Let me solve this problem. Yeah, the purple thing. Click purple thing. Yeah, click that. Okay, so then click OK. So now that brings you into Sculpt, and now you should just have that option in that tab. Did everybody find that? Anybody need help finding that? You got it? Yeah, the little purple lumpy thing. Yeah, and then if you click here, go to model, and then, yeah, that's how you'll get into Sculpt. Yeah, yeah. Does that make sense? Just a little purple gives you a model. Okay, cool. All right, everyone's been able to get into that mode? Okay, so what you can do in this mode that's different from the model mode is you can actually like sculpt stuff, okay? So I don't know if we might get into this. I'll just show you like really quick what you can do with this. But for instance, you can start with a sphere. You don't have to follow along. And you can say like how many faces you want it to have. And so pretty much, check it out. You just kind of like break up your solid shape into, you break up your solid shape like into a bunch of different facets, okay? And then what you can do is you can edit them and start to make shapes that are like more organic. I mean, that's like nothing, obviously, but from here, we can start to actually like model a shape. Okay? So it's a little bit more like clay. If clay was like broken down like perfectly mathematically. Okay? So that's, if you do want to do something that is like more organic, or this is the mode that you would like model a face in or something like that. Okay? But what we're gonna do is we're mainly gonna just use that model tab. But let's just take a step back and let's look at this browser here again. All right, so as soon as you have something on the plane, as soon as you made something, it's gonna be in bodies, okay? So this is a body, it'll show up here, okay? Real quick, so this body is what's called a T-spline, okay? You don't have to really remember the names of these, it's helpful. But there's long story short, there's 3 different types of solids that you work with in 3D modeling, okay? There's a T-spline, okay? There's a B-rep, and there's a quad mesh. Okay, what what these mean, okay, is the T-spline, the spline is like what you can mush around, okay? So the spline is sort of that like mesh, okay? The B-rep is just a regular ass solid. Okay, so like a sphere or a box or something like that. Okay, and then the quad mesh um, is kind of like a T-spine, but you can't edit it in the same way. So long story short, you don't have to so much worry about these, but if you do run into them when you're like looking up tutorials or something, it's just helpful to know what they are. Okay, so I'd be happy to like provide you more information on this stuff if you want, but for now we're just gonna kind of not worry about it. So I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm just gonna click on it, hit delete. It'll get rid of it. So let's go ahead and let's go back to model. Okay. And I thought maybe we could just kind of make something that might resemble what someone will be making for their 3D model. So maybe we can make like anybody have any ideas of something we can make? No, it can't be whatever we're making. Way to throw your voice. It can't be something that someone is making or something that you're making. Something seasonal? What season are we in now? Okay, we can make a flower. We could do it. An egg? What's an egg for? Oh, okay, I got it. I got it. I was like, what is an egg? Okay, we could do an egg. Okay. Let's do an egg. Okay. No, let's not do an egg, because I wanna that won't let's do I don't know. Let's freeform it, okay? What we're gonna do is I want to show you how to use two different kinds of lines, okay? That's why I don't want to do an egg. So maybe do like an egg with like a spiky bottom or something. I don't know. Whatever you're feeling. What's that? Yeah. What's that? Oh, okay. These are all great options. So I will let y'all go for it. I might make some kind of tree thing. I don't know. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to just use the two different types of lines, okay? So the first one that I'll grab is go ahead and just grab line, okay? This is under sketch. Just grab line. And the first thing that it's always going to ask you to do is it's going to ask you to choose a plane, okay? So you probably want to choose the plane that is from the top, right? From the bird's eye view, okay? So I'm going to click on the plane I want to use, and it's going to take me to the top. And if you're confused about where you are, it'll tell you up here in the view. Okay, so then what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna begin to make a line. All right. So let's go ahead and let's just make kind of like a square shape to begin with, but just don't close it. All right, and I'm gonna make mine a little bit uneven just so I can show y'all some of the stuff that you can do here. Okay, and then I'll just hit enter. Whoops. To kind of kill the line, because I don't want to hit stop sketch because I want this palette up here still. Okay, so you can just hit escape or enter to kind of get off of that tool, but you don't want to hit stop sketch. Okay, so I made mine a little bit uneven, and I did that for a reason because I just want to show you some of the things that you can do with this sketch panel. Okay. You could do a bunch of different things with the sketch panel, but we're going to take a look at, so I want to take a look at this equal command down here, okay? It's towards the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of these lines, my uneven lines, by holding down shift, and I'm going to hit equal. And what it will do is it'll automatically make these two lines equal, which is very handy. Has everyone been able to do that? Okay, so let's just take a look at some of the other symbols that are present with your shape. So this little T symbol, you'll be able to find whatever, so there's some symbols on here, right? This T symbol, check it out. This means perpendicular, okay? So these are two perpendicular lines that are intersecting at right angles. These are equal lines, so they have the equals sign, and then you know, these are also all parallel lines, right? So the parallel line isn't showing up, but they're also parallel lines. So you can kind of control your lines in really specific ways with these constraints that you can put on them. Okay? So when you're done with that, you know, for instance, like just to show you some other things that you can do, you can select your points and you can move them around. You can you can clear stuff. All right. So you can still kind of edit these just like you would in Illustrator. But check it out, because this is set to parallel, it won't let me kind of like move this around because it's already set to parallel. So I think what I can do, you should be able to clear it. Okay, well, I guess I would just redraw it if I didn't want that to be parallel. So just to show you really quick, just some other things that you can do with this panel. Let's say I just kind of draw like a random shape, you know, and it's not really even on any sides. But let's say I know that I want this side and this side, like I want them to be parallel to each other. So what I can do is I can select this one and this one by holding down Shift, and I can hit that parallel, and it'll sort of change the shape for me. Does that make sense, everybody? So there's like a lot of good stuff. So long story short, you don't have to be like so super precise, especially with your angles and stuff. You can kind of let the program do that for you. So I'll hit stop sketch, and I'll go back a bit here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to grab another type of line, and the line that I'm going to grab is I'm going to grab the spline. You can grab either one, the point fit or the control point. This is going to be the most similar to your pen tool. Okay, so your pen tool with your handles. So you can grab either one. They kind of draw the same thing, but they work in a little bit different way. So I'm going to draw this control point, and what I'll do is I'll click on one of the points that I have, and then I will draw, and as you can see, it'll sort of kind of guide you around and make these more organic shapes. Okay, so go ahead and just try both of the types of lines. So try the fit point and the control point just to get comfortable with it. And I'm just gonna make like some type of like squiggle bottom for this square that I've made here. All right, and you just want to make sure that it's ending and beginning at one of your points. Now, once you've drawn it, you can still move it around. So you can select points, and the little green handles, if you double click, that'll give you those Bezier handles so that you can kind of adjust your lines exactly how you want them. Okay, and so for your line, you want to make sure that nothing's overlapping because that's going to throw an error, right? So if you try to extrude that, it's going to have a shape that's sort of going in and out of itself, which is fine if you're just working with like vector shapes and stuff, but as soon as we start working with solids, things are going to get really weird. Okay, so does anybody want me to show you how you can use that spline again? How you can use the curve line again? Does anybody need another demo on that? Nobody needs help with a squiggly shape? Okay, so you just want to make sure that your shape is closed, okay? So we've used two different lines. You want to make sure that you've created a closed shape. Does anyone not have something that looks like this? Okay. Okay, so here, what I'm going to do is, we can use this shape. You can do whatever shape you want, really, it's fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the spline, and I'm going to grab the first one, the fit point spline, and I'm just going to draw like a lumpy thing, okay? So I'm just going to lay a point down, and I'm just going to kind of keep drawing. And as you notice, the spline will just kind of like make those curves for you, okay? So we want to just make a shape. and we want to close it. Okay, just like in Illustrator. And then if you hit escape, it'll kind of get rid of the tool, but you'll still be able to go through and modify the sketch. So you should have these handles like you do in Illustrator. Okay, and you want to make sure that it's closed. When you click on it, it should be a solid shape. So does everyone have something that looks like this or like this? Does anyone need help at all before we move on to the next part? We're okay? All right. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to hit stop sketch. And we should have... Okay, this is the tricky part about the sketches. Sometimes the sketch, it'll go onto the same sketch, which is okay. But we'll try to move on to the next point. We might have to delete one. There's a couple different ways that you can work around that, but that's something that sort of happens a lot. But what we'll do is we're going to go to create, and we're going to go to extrude. Okay? And you can click on either one of your sketches. Okay? And once you click on it with the extrude tool and you pull up, it will automatically give you a shape. Okay? So pull up. You can put the exact distance in here. And then you can also add a taper to it. So check it out. We can add like maybe a 10-degree taper so that it'll kind of get bigger as it goes up. Depending on how your shape is designed, it might not let you do that. It gives you an error. It might not let you do that. Okay? So I'm just going to extrude both shapes. And when you extrude them, it looks like the shapes went away, but all that happened is that the computer just automatically turns them off for you. They're still under here, under sketches. So I'm just going to extrude both of these. Again, I'll go to create, extrude, pull this guy up. All right. And then I'll just turn off my sketches so that they don't get in the way. All right, so I have two lumpy things. Okay, has anybody not been able to extrude their sketch? Okay, let me see what you got. There you go. And then if you're Oh, so just go to sketches, underneath sketches, and then just turn the sketches back on, because it turns them automatically off for you. It thinks it's smart. So as soon as you've extruded something, it'll turn off the sketches for you. It'll just hide them, because it's trying to get them out of your way. So you can just go underneath sketches and turn it back on, and then you can do the same thing with your multiple bodies, right? So the bodies are going to be in underneath bodies. You can hide or show those as well. It's just with that little light bulb tool. Okay, so let's try some other commands that we can do with this. And we're just kind of like playing around. We don't have to really make anything. Are y'all finding this helpful so far? Okay, so let's go to modify now, and let's look at a couple different things that we can do. So the first thing that we'll do is let's grab the fillet command. Okay, this first thing here, we'll add fillet. All right, so it's in modify. It's the third one down. Okay, so the fillet works with an edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an edge, any edge you want, and this will allow you to round out corners. Okay, so you can just use this here, or you can type in a certain radius. So this will allow you to round your corners. Okay, and you can round as many corners as you want. You can just hit shift and select as many as you'd like. Okay, So for instance, I can round out this whole top. I'll just go through, select all of this. All right, so I've selected all of those edges on this shape here. And then I'm gonna go up to modify fillet and just grab this. And if your shape is like really crazy, it'll kind of tell you like as far as it can bend. So see that as soon as I get to about there, it's like I can't go that far. Like the math will not allow me to go that far. So you can try to put in. Oh, does yours quit? Yeah. Okay. Do you want to jump to another computer? I don't know what the deal is with that one. Or you and Alex can work together if that is okay for you. Is that okay? All right. I think your shape might have been a little much. Yeah. No worries. Okay, so you can try to you can drag this in, or you can try to kind of put a unit in here to see how far you can get it to fillet. Okay, so now I have my same shape, but I've given it this like really soft edge. Okay, so anybody want me to show you how to do that again? Now there's two different types of like edge control, right? So there's the chamfer, which will give you like more it'll give you like more angular ones, and then the fillet will allow you to have like a nice soft edge. Okay, so go ahead and just try out both. All right, so what you'll do is just select the edge you want to work with. All right, just select it. You can hold down shift to select multiple edges and just try out both. So I'll try the chamfer on this one, see how far I can push this one. Okay, so now I have the two different edges. So this one is a little bit more angular. All right, so 50 won't let me do any more than 50. All right, so I have one that's a little bit more angular and then one that's kind of more rounded. Does anybody have questions with that? Yeah. Okay, you did do that. Okay, were you able to get the fillet to work? Or did yours quit? Oh, quit? No. So go ahead and just start with create. Just hit create. Yeah, and then just grab a box. And yeah, put it there. Yeah. And then rotate around and pull it up. So here, go home. Yeah, pull it up. Okay. And then you can use the fillet command on any sides. Okay. Anybody else need help with the fillet or chamfer command? So everyone's been able to do both? Even on the same shape would be fine? Okay. So one of the other things that we can do is we can actually continue to extend this shape, even though we've already extruded it. Let's say for some reason we want this one to be higher, or let's say we want this one to kind of come out a bit more, okay? We can use the press pull function. So if we click on a face, okay, so the faces are just like what makes the outside edges of a solid, okay? I can click on a face. I'm just gonna right click on it and I'll say press pull. And I can just pull things up and down. So that's how you can kind of like edit the size of your shape, okay? And you'll do that on any face that you want. All right, so let's say I want to make this one taller. I'll probably select both of these. and I'll hit press pull. Ah. Okay, and your press pull will also allow you to round your edges as well. Okay, so the press pull is just kind of like a little feature that allows you to kind of continue working with your shapes. And again, sometimes the math doesn't allow you to use this the way that you think you would. So if you're getting some errors, you're probably trying to do something that like the math doesn't like, it just won't compute, right? Okay. One more thing I'll show you before we take a little break here is we can change the appearance of these. All right. So right now these are these are like this sort of see-through situation. If I right click on it and I go to appearance, this will give me a bunch of different things that I can do. So down here it gives me a bunch of different like types of material. So maybe we want to grab some stone. I'll just open this up. Granite. Great, so here's all my stone options. So all I'll do is I'll just grab the material I want and I'll just dump it on here and it'll change the material. Okay, same thing here. Let's try some plastic, or there's paint. Let's do some glossy paint. This will do a nice blue. So again, I'll just grab it and I'll just dump it onto my material. Okay, so that's the way that you can change what your material actually looks like. Now, obviously, when you 3D print this or fabricate it, it'll just be the 3D model color, right? The plastic color, but this is just for you, for your own sanity, really. You can also like make stuff in here, right? Like you can make 3D, you can make prints, right? You can like stage situations. You can use this to create like 3D type and then, you know, save images of it and do different things with it. Okay, so it's not only for modeling. You can also create like 3D forms. There's ways that you can like map images on here. Okay, so there's a bunch of different things that you can do with this. We're just focusing on fabrication. Okay? Okay, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna give y'all let's take a 20-minute break. So let's be back here at 4:20. And then we'll have another like solid hour of workshop time, okay? So I'll see you back here at 4:20. Bro. What's up?
Was it? I left out at home. Was it this Thursday for the advising?
I think it's